Timothy Bradley. Before I get into what Timothy Bradley said about Manny Pacquiao and how it makes absolutely no sense because it relies on if, which isn't a good thing to rely on, hit that thumbs up, hit that sub, and hit that notification bell. And don't forget, without hitting the notification bell, it's pointless to sub because you'll never get updated when I drop the newest content like this. With that being said, let's get into the video. So Timothy Bradley is saying that Errol Spence Jr. can beat Manny Pacquiao easily if he can keep him outside with the jab. Well, that's a dumb statement right there, in my opinion. Bradley, a great boxer, but we all know, Bradley, you lost to Manny Pacquiao in the first fight. You shouldn't have got the win. Manny has been robbed on the scorecards more than once, and he was robbed against you. With that being said, I don't know if Bradley is speaking from his heart, how he really feels, or if he has something against Manny Pacquiao. But what I can say is this. If your whole statement is contingent on an if, it's not a very good statement because it's a hypothetical. Yes, if Errol Spence can keep him at bay with the jab, then yes, he will win easily. That is a true statement. But here's another crazy ass statement that relies on an if. It's very contingent on it. If Manny Pacquiao knocks Errol Spence Jr. out in the first round, with his first punch, he wins the fight easily. You see how dumb that sounds? You can never rely on an if. And one thing about Manny Pacquiao is this, and the only if that matters when it comes to him. If he can stay full of energy the entire fight, I believe he wins the fight. And I believe he wins it pretty convincingly. That's the only if that matters. If he can stay full of energy. If he can keep his gas tank on F instead of on E, because if he tires late in the fight like he did against Keith Thurman, he may get into a lot of trouble. But there is no saying if Errol can control him with the jab. Of course, if Errol can control him with the jab, it'll be an easy fight because Manny's shorter than Errol. So therefore, if he can keep him out at range, guess what? The shorter man can't hit you. No shit. Not a hard statement to make, but the fact of the matter remains, that's a big, bold claim and a big if to rely your statement on. I'm going to say this. This fight, in my opinion, is a 50-50 fight. The only if, like I mentioned earlier, that matters is if Manny can stay full of energy, because I believe if he does not get tired, he will beat Errol Spence Jr. I don't care if he's 53 years old. I don't care if he's 63 years old. I don't care if he lives a long, fruitful life of 123 years old. If at 123 years old he can stay full of energy, he beats Errol Spence Jr. That is all that matters. That is the only if that matters. It's all contingent on if Manny can have endurance for the long run. Because if he can, he will beat Errol Spence Jr., which is why I see this as a 50-50 fight. It's 50-50 because I do not know if he can stay full of energy. I don't know if he can last all 12 rounds fighting full speed. I don't know. But what I do know is if he can, he will outbox Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence is way slower than Manny. Yes, he is bigger, but it doesn't matter when you've got a guy who gets up close, who's much faster than you, and he uses all the weird angles that Manny does. He can negate your height by staying on top of you. I don't think Manny has slowed down that much. Yes, he is slower than he used to be, but even at him slowing down, he is still faster than a majority of these fighters. So while he has slowed down, it's not significant enough to make a difference. It's not significant enough to where I would say him and Errol Spence Jr. are close enough in speed that it will be easy, like Tim Bradley alluded to keep Manny out of the pocket. I don't believe that at all. I believe a 43-year-old Manny Pacquiao is going to still be faster than Errol Spence and fast enough to where he can get in the pocket. Now again, 50-50. Because I can tell y'all this, if Manny does tire, if he does, there's the big if again. If that happens, I do believe Errol Spence Jr. could knock Manny Pacquiao out late in the fight. I believe it is a possibility. I believe that he will be able to land more shots on Manny if Manny gets tired than Keith Thurman did. I honestly believe that. However, I believe if Manny stays full of energy, like I keep stressing, I don't think Errol Spence is going to be fast enough on his feet, quick enough with his hands, or ring savvy enough to time Manny like he needs to time him to be able to outpoint him or knock him out. The only way, in my opinion, Manny Pacquiao loses this fight is if he gets tired. That's it. I see no other outcomes. I don't see any way possible Manny comes into this fight and gets knocked out in the first round, the second round, the third round, or the fourth round. I don't see it happening. The only way he gets knocked out is if he starts to tire in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th round. That's the only way he gets knocked out, in my opinion. The only way he gets outpointed on the scorecards is if, again, he starts to tire before the 6th round. Because if he can win all 6 rounds before he tires, then it doesn't matter if Spence wins 7 through 12, it's still a draw. So that's it. Manny just has to stay with enough energy to win the first 6 rounds. And no matter what, in my opinion, it will be a draw because I don't think Spence can outbox him. And I don't think Spence can outpoint him as long as Manny has his full energy. I think the first rounds are going to hands down go to Manny. I just don't see Spence winning it. I don't see his height to size causing Pacquiao any issues because Pacquiao has been there, seen it, done it. It's no different to Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao has had so many people in front of him, so many different styles in front of him, that it is a foolish statement to say that the bigger, stronger, younger guy causes issues when he's been in there with bigger, stronger, younger guys. This is nothing new to him. What it is new to is Errol Spence Jr., like Keith Thurman learned. When you make minor errors like Keith Thurman did, backing out with his hands down, Manny can explode fast and exploit those errors early in the fight like he did against Spence because he was full of energy. That's something that Spence is not used to. A guy who is going to be as calculated, have as much ring IQ and experience as a Manny Pacquiao. That's what makes this older fighter dangerous. He's dangerous because unlike most older fighters, he hasn't slowed down. The first thing you lose is your speed. But as I have said earlier in this video, Manny was so blessed with speed, so fast with speed, that even a slowed down Manny is still faster than the current Errol Spence Jr. of today. That is what makes it dangerous. The speed of Manny Pacquiao, the angles that he attacks at in his boxing mind, very dangerous. People could bring up Marquez knocking out Pacquiao, but here's the thing about it. It took Marquez 4 fights to knock out Pacquiao, and it took him hitting puberty at 40-something years old, or 38, 39, 40, however old he was. He hit puberty for a second time in life. And he was also getting his ass whooped the entire fight before he landed that shot. So let's not pretend because Marquez did it, it's something easy to do. Like I said, it took 4 fights and hitting puberty a second time to do it. So I will conclude the video with this. Timothy Bradley, you are very smart. You are very wise. You are a world champion. You are a great fighter. However, when you talk about Manny Pacquiao, sometimes it seems you're a little biased against him. I believe you're one of the few people who believe Jeff Horn actually beat him. So I don't know what the issue is when Manny's name is brought up that you have against him. Maybe it's because deep down inside you feel like Manny actually beat you in that first fight, which he should have. I don't know what it is, but the fact of the matter is, I just find this particular statement that you said ridiculous, stupid, and dumb because it relies on a big if. And it's really nothing nuanced about what you said. Of course, we all know if Errol Spence can control him with the jab, it's an easy fight. But again, that's a tall order to try to come out with. Let me know what y'all think in the comments section. I would love to hear what y'all have to say. And don't forget, I reply to everybody that comments to me to show my appreciation for y'all taking the time to listen. Y'all have a good day.